opposed to actually taking them in. I try to take in the ones who are at risk.
Okay.
And who have no other options because we have such limited space. So I don't have a lot of horses for adoption. I usually have the ones who are older and broken who need permanent residency. So.
Oh yeah.
This is Noelle. She is a little Gymkhana horse. She is foundered. She has a permanent, major bow tendon. So we're just keeping her. She's a permanent resident. She is, pretty lame, so we just have them on, we have them on the Equinox to keep them comfortable for the rest of their lives. So, but she's only 14.
Oh.
So they broke her way early, but when we first got her, you couldn't even touch her.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, some people did pretty mean to her. Now Venus in the back is kind of a silly horse. She was from Hanaeleh, which is a now thankfully defunct quote-unquote rescue. And what happened is she got a splinter in her eye there. She was bought at auction.
Oh gosh.
And they didn't take care of it. So the volunteer took her home, had the vet come out, but by that time it was too late. The scar tissue had already come over. So her eye is shrinking slowly. And we don't know what happened to her before even the auction. But she's pretty skittish. So we have about 4 volunteers who can work with her. And she will come up if you ask her to. But she has a special fly mask to keep the dirt and everything out of her left eye. And she can still be running around in the arena and whatnot. We don't ride her, not because of her eye, but just because she's a little bit silly. And we don't want anyone to get hurt. So these 2 are permanent residents. I don't see them going anywhere. She just needs her shoes are very expensive and her medication, so she's a lot.
Oh,
so
yeah.
People are like, I want a companion horse. They don't want to spend $500 a month just on maintenance, on top of food and everything else. So she's just going to stay here, very severely charred. So, what is charred? Charred, well, you have the vaqueros, which are the Mexican cowboys who care about the horses, and you have the charros who are just trying to make them dance and use very severe training methods, including whips and chains and sticks to make them do the dancing. So they also put very severe bits in their mouth. They also tie their heads up high for hours at a time or down low. And what that does is the idea to fatigue the neck muscles so they don't fight. What happened with him is it got him a lot of pinched nerves in his neck. So he is severely neurological. He can never be ridden. And so we picked him up on Sunday. He was scheduled to be euthanized on the next day. And he cannot stand on 3 feet, so he cannot get his feet done. So he has to be turned out every day. And then he got a black widow spider bite last year. So he has cellulitis and he has his lymph nodes have been scarred over. We had the vet out and spent a lot of money trying to save him.
Oh gosh.
But it was, it's worth it. He needs it. He deserves it. But that's the best the link's gonna get. So he just has to be out every single day for at least a half hour, 45 minutes minimum. But he's usually out for a couple hours. He just got shaved. Robert Bruce, get out of there, honey. Hey. Hi. Go on. Where's your brother? Hi. You're not supposed to run around right now. Hi. You're supposed to be down at the car. Here. Oh, you got scared. You got scared. You scared yourself. So Sierra's a little quarter horse, and she was what we call cowboy, where they kind of are very abusive in their training methods. They run them around, and what we think is they tied her head to her tail, and so she has neck muscles and rump muscles that are out of whack and all pinched. And so we've had the massage therapist work with her for the past 6 months. And I've been riding her. She was not trained to ride. She was given to a family with a small child as a riding horse, and she is not trained at all. She didn't even know what right was. You could pull on her left and right. She's like, why are you pulling on my face?
Oh my gosh.
So I had to ground drive her and teach her how left, right, straight worked and stop. So now I can ride her. She's still very sensitive, and she's still very tentative when I ride her. She's still afraid that somebody's gonna hurt her. So you know, as you saw, she gets herself kind of scared. But she's actually, if she's on the ground outside, she's a very solid horse. It's when you're under saddle, she's like afraid that someone's gonna hurt her. So.
Aww.
What are you doing down there, silly? Ollie, Ollie. Ollie, come here. You're not shy. Come here, Bubba. So Ollie was a 3-day event, or no, they're not 3-day event. He was a Grand Prix jumper.
Oh, wow.
And they competed in Grand Prix and the JOs. And as you can see, he's very big.
Oh,
yes. And I kind of bite, but just because I like food, and maybe you have food. He's not really mean. He's just very mouthy. Which is, you know, common for horses taken away from mom. And so he came over to the United States around 7-8 years ago. And unfortunately, he ended up with navicular and suspensory tears that were very severe. Like, he's just holding on by a little thread. So he has special shoes to put his feet up to help, so the suspensories aren't, they don't have as much pressure on them. No jumping at all. He can be exercised. He do walk, trot, canter. At Liberty, I bring him a couple times, but for the most part, he just kind of hangs out and is retired and just does his thing. He's only 15 years old, so he's probably 15, 20 years. So this is Raven. Raven is she's 18, 19 years old this year.
Oh.
Go load up. Now. Load up. You shouldn't be around the horses. Bad dog. Load up. Load up. Hello, you're here for me.
Oh, yes.
You are here for me. I am here. I am here. You've come to the right place. I am here now.
Hello.
Raven was a broodmare, we think. She was given to a trainer and as a riding lesson horse, and she's not trained to ride.
Oh, gosh.
I am teaching her how to ground drive and to learn how to pull a cart.
Oh, wow.
So, that way, because, you know, she's getting older, you know, 18, 19 years old, they don't live that long.
Yeah.
Draft horses, so, but she's doing well. She's gained a lot of weight. Now she's a little chunky, which is great. And she's very sweet. I should have named her Barbie because she's pretty sure that everyone's here for her.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and we're all here just to service her needs.
Definitely.
So, she's a very good girl. I mean, she's very one. She's like, okay. And when she's naughty, she doesn't mean to be. She's just like, you mean you don't want me to walk all over? They're both installed that had not been cleaned in, I don't know, at least a year. It was really bad. And so what happened is she was just standing on the newer, she's standing in now. But at least she's in boots now. But her soles dropped. So she was standing literally on her soles and not her clothes. So it's very painful. So we're working on that. So we have, she's been with us for about 13 weeks. So the next time the farrier comes, we're hoping we can put shoes on her so she can get out of the boots. But usually we try to keep the horses barefoot, but there are some times when shoes are really necessary. And for her to try to grow that hoof out and to pull the sole back, that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
So even if we do it for 6 months and then we reassess, for Noelle and for Ollie, they need shoes. That's a requirement for them to be comfortable. If I don't have shoes on Ollie, he'll tear that suspensory probably. And with Noelle, she won't be comfortable enough. And I just have to put her down. So if they can be, we keep the shoes off. But otherwise, you know, we need to be pragmatic about it. But she looked terrible. So I shaved her. The first thing I did, we got her feet done. They were terrible. We trimmed them as best the farrier could. He was there that day when we brought him back.
Oh, wow.
And then we shaved her, and it took an hour to brush her mane out. The previous owners didn't want to brush the tail, so they cut it.
Oh.
That's why it's cut.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it was all knotted. But she is a little sassy thing. She's a little Arabian.
No.
Yeah, she's the granddaughter of Kimasabe, but we're hoping that she will be, you know, sound enough to be ridden. If not, then she'll just stay here. But she's a sassy. How you doing, baby? Coyote, he's an Andalusian thoroughbred cross.
Ooh.
And hi, hello. He's very sweet.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
He was bought by somebody who was a lot more horse than they really should have had, and they became afraid of him. He learned how to just scare her while he was riding. He would jump straight into the air and then stand there, and she'd get upset and jump off. And he'd like, look what I learned. So when you ride him, it's kind of like being Cavalia a little bit. You have to keep his head up because he will throw his head down and do a couple bucks too. But if you keep his head up, you just kind of like, I'm doing airs above ground. I'm riding Lipizzaners. So he's very athletic. He's best friends with Lou, so they play around in the arena all the time. But he has a stifle injury, an old one that's now a little bit arthritic, and he has club feet, and he's kind of a silly horse. And the people who would be able to deal with him would have to be, experienced, and the people who are experienced don't want to deal with a horse like that.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They don't want to. They just, they have other horses that they can deal with. So he has been here for probably about 10 years too. So he's around 24, 25. So he's a good boy, but he's also, we call him one of our big boys.
No.
Yeah, it was funny. He was all dapple gray when we got him, and now he's
Oh my gosh.
all the dapples, they kind of whiten out as they get older. If you look at his legs, see how the color on his leg, that was what he was most. And then now he's
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then Lulu here. So Lou Dillon was found on Lou Dillon Avenue in Watts.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he was running through Watts over by the Watts Towers. Hey, what are you doing over there? Here. Say hi. Say hello. So he was picked up by a couple of police officers in the middle of a torrential rainstorm, and they had to stay with him for like 4 or 5 hours before the animal control trailer could finally get there. And people were throwing things at him. Somebody tried to grab him and hold on to him while they were driving, just to I have a horse now. And then finally somebody in off of Lou Dillon Avenue, Boulevard actually, they kind of corralled him into his yard, and then they put trash flat bags over his body to try to keep him from getting wet more. Because there's no horse stuff up there. There's stuff in Compton. There's the Compton posse, but there's nothing in Watts. So we have no idea where this horse came from. He had wire around his neck. Yeah, we have no idea what was going on. But anyway, the police officers who found him kind of bonded with him, and they called us when he was at the animal shelter and asked if we could take him, and we did. And we got him. He was really thin and emaciated, so we got weighed back on him. He's not a big horse, but he's still put on like 400 pounds. And then this couple weeks ago, they got him his own badge. So he is an honorary member of the LA Division of Mounted Unit.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so now he is an official mounted horse.
Aww.
Yeah, not the neglect case in Orange Park Acres. The man had unfortunately had some issues and was not taking care of them. So we took them on, got them cared for, fattened them up, actually adopted them out to a marriage and family therapist in Malibu, and 2 months later, Malibu burned down.
Oh my gosh.
So we ended up getting them back, and they're just here now. Grace is like 35, 36, and Hope is like 26, 27. So
Aww.
they're here. They're just older, and they're bonded together. They are sisters. They're not true sisters, but in all these intents of the word, they're sisters. So
Oh yeah.
She was so swollen that she was breathing out of the size of like a dime, and it was shrinking. So if we hadn't actually gotten her and taken her in and had the ariondectomy, which is the surgery, she probably would be dead now.
Oh my gosh.
But we got the surgery, and she's all good.
Aww.
And she is she's a very good horse. So she just has a little bit of training issues that we're working on. She had first decided she wanted to rear.
Oh.
So we've stopped that so far. We're working on pulling back the rail. And so then she's technically trained to ride, but I just want to make sure she's safe before we do anything. And
Yeah.
this person, probably not a kid, somebody who knew what they were doing. Doesn't look like she's ever trained to jump or anything, so probably someone who want to do flat work or even some Western things. But I'm going to have to assess her before she is ready. But she will hopefully in the next 6 months go up.
Oh.
So, Tilly,
Hello.
you are here for me. Tilly was Sable's friend over in the place where they, the family, they didn't, they just got overwhelmed, and they just couldn't take care of the horses, and so we got some weight back on her, got some muscle back on her. She is trained to ride, and I am just going to close this. Yeah. Did you unlock that? I did unlock it. That was fun. So she's very, very sweet, and she will be up for adoption at the end of the month. I'm riding her right now, just getting her, kind of reminding her what everything is, but she's a very good little horsey. And, you know, she'll also be one where I guess she originally, before the person who we got her from, they were trying to barrel race her, and she did not like that. So she's just like, no, I don't like doing that. She does not have a very fun canter. It's very unbalanced and kind of crazy. So somebody who would want to just do walk and trot, do some trail riding, do some, you know, or some basic flat work. She has a very fun little jog. So it's very comfortable, so you can just kind of sit that. So we're hoping at the end of the month you can go up and find a new home. Yeah. But she gets attached very easily to everyone around her. So she's like, my friends, as you heard her screaming.
Oh, yeah.
Her hope and grace. But that's the biggest issue we're working with right now, is getting her more confident. But because she was alone for a long period of time, that just, the longer she gets, you know, she's out and works and whatnot, the more confident she is. I had originally trained him. He was very abused, and he ended up breaking 2 people's hips because he kept spinning around and taking off with people on trail, and just was kind of a dork. But hi, I love you.
No.
He's very sweet, and say hi. I take him to kids, you know. He's one I take him to schools. I've had him mobbed by Girl Scouts. I just, you know, he's a very sweet boy. He's very extroverted, loves people. He was just not trained, you know, and people who were trying to train him were abusive. So once he learned that everything was fine and I wasn't going to hurt him, he was fine. Hi. Yeah, I love you too. So he's a walker, and he's 23 this year, and so, you know, he's slowing down a little bit, but you know, we just go out on a couple hour trail rides, and he's a good boy. And that's, you know, do a little bit of riding with him in the arena, but other than that, he's kind of like our ambassador. Killed your fly mask. It was not like that last week. You know, he kind of goes out and helps everyone learn about horses. And then we have Ruby here. Ruby was a racehorse, and she just got spots this last month. They're called bird catcher spots, and some horses will get them when they're older. And she's Seattle Sue's grandniece. She won one race, and then they retired her. Then she became a broodmare, and then the person who owned her, she was breeding Anglo-Arabs for endurance, and that market kind of fell out, so she just stopped feeding the horses and paying the rent. So she lost her ranch, and all the horses were emaciated, and the rescues took in the other horses, but no one wanted her because she was, you know, an untrained 16-year-old thoroughbred. So hi, Hershey was also a jumper. He's 26 years old this year.
Oh, wow.
27, I think. And he went on hunger strike, but we tried to figure out what was wrong with him, why he wasn't eating, and we did everything. We couldn't figure it out, and we scoped him, and he has a very, very mild, almost not really even there ulcer, but we just started treating the ulcer. And so then he started eating, and so I guess he was just very sensitive stomach, but he's a good boy. He does bite. He was also a show horse, so.
Hello. Oh, yes, the show horses.
Yeah, but he just, you know, you just kind of do a little bit, you know, when you can't just retire them and not let them do anything. Some of them are fine with just hanging out. Like Tama would be fine if I just put him in a pasture, be like, here, eat all day. You're like, awesome. But some of them need more mental stimulation, and he's one of them where he needs to just feel useful. He, you know, that's just, he's better. You know, he has a better mental state. So he also, I'll shoot arrows off of his back, you know, for the archery, and, you know, to drive him not very long, like a mile, but just so he's like, and he'll come back and he'll be like, I pulled a cart and you did it. You, I bet you wish it were me.
Oh, yeah.
So he feels very important when he does that.
So where can everyone find you if they want to find an adoption horse or just contact you?
Well, the easiest way to contact us is through the website. And if they want to volunteer, they can just email us at volunteer@hanaeleh.org. And the website is hanaeleh.org, very easy. And hey, there, Cherry. So if we are a 100% volunteer-run organization, so no one gets paid except for the farrier and the vet. But all of the volunteers here do it out of the kindness of our heart because we love these guys. We want to make sure they're cared for. And then you do have a couple horses who are up for adoption at the end of the month. This one, Tilly, will be up. Hey, bub. She's like, I'm eating right now. But she'll be up for adoption. And so if you are interested in adopting a horse, you can always fill out our horse inquiry page. And that will tell me about you, what type of horse you're looking for, and I can see if we have a horse that might fit your needs.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.